sister demanded I pay her back for what she calls a loan I call a gift she never said was temporary. My sister is standing in my doorway with her phone held out like a badge, the screen glowing with a screenshot of my own thank you text from 3 years ago, and she's talking over me like volume can rewrite history. "There," she says, stabbing the air with her thumb. "You said you'd get me back when you could. You said it. So don't sit there and act confused." I'm still in my work clothes, one shoe half off, keys in my hand, and my brain is doing that hot, panicky thing where every thought slips away the moment I reach for it. The hallway smells like the curry my neighbor cooks every Wednesday. My kid's backpack is by the door. I can hear the washing machine thumping in the laundry like it has no idea my life is currently falling apart. I open my mouth and nothing comes out except this stupid, useless breath. "Maya." I finally manage, and she cuts me off. "Don't Maya me," she snaps, eyes bright and wet. I'm not doing this polite little dance anymore. I need it back. I need it now. It was a Tuesday night 3 years ago when she transferred the money, and I remember it with this weird clarity because I was sitting on my kitchen floor with my back against the cabinets, staring at a pile of envelopes like they were going to start yelling at me. My ex had just stopped paying child support without warning. The daycare had raised their fees. My car had started making a sound that can only be described as a dying animal. I had $312 in my account and a rent payment that didn't care about my circumstances. I called Maya because she was my sister and because she'd been the one who always said, "If you ever need anything, you come to me. We're not like other families. We show up." She said it like a vow, like pride, like she was different from our mother, who always made help feel like a debt you paid with your dignity. Maya answered on the second ring, cheerful, like she wasn't already tired of me. "Hey," she said, "what's up?" I tried to keep my voice steady, but it cracked anyway. "I'm in a bind," I admitted, and my cheeks burned even though she couldn't see me. I hated asking. I hated needing. I hated the way it made me feel 12 again, standing in the kitchen while Mum counted out coins and sighed like my existence was a cost. Maya didn't hesitate. "How much?" she asked. I told her. 8,000. It sounds insane typed out, but it wasn't one thing. It was rent, 2 months of daycare, the car repair deposit, and the smallest buffer, so I could stop living like one surprise bill would wipe me out. I said it fast, like if I rushed, maybe it would sound less pathetic. Then I waited for the part where she'd lecture me about planning. Instead, she said, "Okay, just that. Okay, then I'll send it tonight." I remember sitting up, dizzy. "Maya, no, I can't," I started. "You can," she said, "and you will, because you're not going under on my watch." I tried again. "I don't know when I can pay you back," I said. "I can't promise." "Stop," she cut in. "It's not a loan. I'm not a bank. You're my sister. You don't need to grovel." I actually cried then, the kind of cry that comes from relief mixed with shame. "Thank you," I whispered. "Don't make it weird," she said, but her voice softened. "Just breathe. Handle your stuff. This is what family is for." So when she says loan now, 3 years later, it feels like someone replaced the memory in my head with a counterfeit version and is insisting I accept it. The screenshot she's waving at me is a text I sent the night she transferred the money. I don't even know what to say. "Thank you. I'll get you back when I'm able. I love you." That's it. That's her proof. Not a contract. Not a payment schedule. Not even a pay me back by X date. A thank you text from a sister who was drowning. "Get you back when I'm able," Maya repeats, savoring it. That's you acknowledging it's a loan. That's me acknowledging you saved me, I say, and my voice is shaking now because anger is finally kicking in. "That's not a loan agreement, Maya." Her mouth twists. "So you were finna keep it?" she says like I'm confessing to theft. "You were just gonna take 8 grand and never pay me back." "I've paid you back." I blurt because I have, just not in the way she means. Not with money, but she laughs, sharp and ugly. "Oh my God," she says. "Here we go. With the but I watched your dog, and but I helped you move, and but I listened to you cry." That's not repayment. That's being a person. I flinch because she's not wrong, not entirely. But also, she's acting like she hasn't benefited from me in 100 invisible ways she never counts, because those don't fit her current narrative. And the thing that makes my stomach drop isn't just the demand. It's the timing. Maya doesn't demand money when she's stable. Maya demands money when she's losing control. I should probably explain our dynamic, because I can feel myself getting defensive even as I write this, like I'm trying to convince strangers that I'm not some moochy little sister who took advantage. Maya is older than me by 4 years and has always been shiny. That's the only word that fits. She's the one who never had a messy breakup in public. She had a private transition. She didn't gain weight. She got into lifting. She didn't get fired. She left to pursue a better opportunity. She's curated. Even her vulnerability comes out in a controlled way, like she's offering it strategically. When we were kids, Mom pitted us against each other in subtle ways. Maya was the responsible one, the strong one. I was the sensitive one, the dramatic one. If I cried, Mom would roll her eyes and say, "See, this is why you can't handle anything." If Maya was cold, Mom would say, "She's just mature." Maya learned early that being needed made her powerful, and I learned early that being needy made me disposable. It's not surprising that we grew into adults where she likes being the rescuer and I hate being rescued. But here's the important part. Maya used to talk about money like it was a tool to build a bridge. Like it didn't matter. Like she was above keeping score. She'd say things like, "I'd rather help you than watch you suffer." She made it sound generous, and I believed her. Then, about 6 months ago, she started changing. It started small, passive things. She'd call and casually mention, "It's wild how expensive everything is now, right?" Or she'd say, "I'm trying to tighten my budget because I'm not made of money." She'd bring up the 8 grand in this offhand way, like, "I was thinking about how I helped you back then," and the way she emphasized help made my skin prickle. I offered to start paying her back then. I did. I said, "If you need it, we can work out a plan. I can do like $200 a month." She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Stop. I didn't help you so you could struggle more. Keep your money. You have a kid." That was in June. In August, she posted cryptic Instagram stories about learning who's really in your corner. In September, she suddenly stopped talking about her husband, Daniel. In October, she showed up at my place with mascara smudged down her cheek and said, "Don't ask questions, just let me sit here." She drank wine from my mug because she didn't want to feel like she was home. She slept on my couch. She cried in my shoulder like she was falling apart. I didn't press, because Maya hates being seen without her armor. 2 weeks later, she finally told me she and Daniel were separating. It wasn't dramatic. It was delivered like a press release. "We've been having issues," she said. "He's not who I thought he was. I'm protecting myself." I asked if she was okay financially, and she did this little smile. "Please," she said. "I'm fine." But I noticed she started selling things. Little things at first. Shoes, a designer bag, then bigger things. A treadmill, a couch. She'd say it was decluttering, but it didn't feel like decluttering. It felt like liquidating. And then 3 weeks ago, she texted me out of nowhere. "Hey, can you come by tomorrow? We need to talk." When I showed up, she had her kitchen table covered in paperwork like she was preparing for court. Bank statements, a spreadsheet, a legal pad with neat bullet points. She looked tired in a way I'd never really seen on her, like she'd been awake for days and was running on anger. She didn't say hi. She didn't ask about my kid. She said, "I'm gonna need that 8,000 back." I actually thought she was joking. I gave this weird half laugh and said, "What?" She slid a paper toward me. It was her spreadsheet. My name was on it, with loan, $8,000 written next to it. Then, because Maya can't do anything without framing it like she's being reasonable, she said, "I'm not asking for interest. I'm not being cruel. I'm just collecting what I'm owed." "Maya," I said slowly, "you told me it wasn't a loan." She blinked at me like I was stupid. "I told you that because you were in a fragile state," she said. "I didn't want you to spiral. But obviously it was a loan. No one just gives away 8 grand. I sat there staring at her. "You said it's not a loan," I repeated. "Those were your words." She waved her hand. "Semantics," she said. "Semantics. Like language doesn't matter. Like promises are flexible." I asked her why now. She stared at me for a beat, then said, "Because I'm going through something and I need to know you'll show up the way I showed up for you." That right there. That's what this is about. Not money, reciprocity, but in her definition. In her definition, showing up means writing a check immediately, no questions, no inconvenience. It doesn't count that I let her fall apart on my couch. It doesn't count that I've been the one she calls when she needs a witness to her own pain. It doesn't count that I've picked her up from places she didn't want anyone to know she'd been. It counts if it's measurable, if it's money, if it proves she still has leverage. I told her I couldn't just hand over $8,000. I said, I'm not refusing. I just can't. I could do payments. Her face went hard. No, she said. I need it in full. By the end of the month. I felt my throat close. I don't have $8,000 sitting around, I said. I'm not you. She tilted her head. You have a house, she said. You have equity. I have a mortgage. I snapped, and my voice rose despite myself. And a kid. And bills. I'm not taking out a loan to pay back a loan you never called a loan. Maya's eyes flashed. So you're admitting it was a loan. I went home that day with my stomach in knots, and I did something I rarely do. I dug through old messages. I searched loan. I searched payback. I scrolled through years of conversations like I was trying to find the exact moment she'd rewritten history. I found it. The night she sent the money, I had texted, "Are you sure? I can pay you back when I get stable." And she had replied, "Stop. It's not a loan. I'm not keeping tabs. I love you." There it was. Black and white. No semantics. When I showed her the screenshots, she stared at them for 2 seconds and then said, "I said that because you were being dramatic." I felt like I was losing my mind. "So you lied," I said, stunned. She didn't even blink. I softened it. She corrected, like she was a hero. "Because you can't handle pressure." That was the moment my sympathy started to crack. Because it wasn't just that she needed money. It was the way she was willing to paint me as unstable to justify changing the terms. Fast forward to tonight, with her in my doorway, waving my thank you text like a knife. I'm not saying I'll never pay you back. I say, forcing my voice to stay low because my kid is in the next room watching TV and I don't want him hearing this. I'm saying you can't demand it like a debt when you insisted it wasn't one. Maya steps closer. "So you're going to hide behind technicalities," she says. Wow. Okay. I see who you are. That line hits like it always does, like she's trying to make my refusal into a moral failing. And I can feel the old programming in my body. Panic, shame, the urge to fix it, to smooth her anger. But I also feel something new, something steadier. "No," I say. "I see who you are, Maya. You're changing the story because you're desperate." Her face goes pale. "Don't you dare," she whispers. "I'm sorry you're going through a divorce," I say, and my voice shakes because I do mean it. "I'm sorry you're scared. But you don't get to make me your emergency fund and then call me a bad person for not producing $8,000 on command." Maya's eyes fill with tears, but they don't soften her. They sharpen her. "I gave you that money when you were nothing," she says, voice trembling. "You were a mess. You were crying on the floor. You were. I was struggling. I cut in, and I hate how my own eyes burn. Not nothing." She laughs through her tears. "See? This is what you do. You twist it. You minimize. You." I have the texts, I say, and my hand is so steady when I say it that it surprises me. "You said it wasn't a loan. If you want to pretend it was, then we do it properly. We write up an agreement now. We set a payment plan I can actually afford. You don't get to demand a lump sum because you're angry at Daniel and you need someone to control." Maya freezes, and for a second I think she might actually consider it. Then her mouth curls. "No," she says. "I'm not doing paperwork with my own sister." "Then stop calling a loan," I say. She stares at me like she wants to slap me. "You think you're so smart," she says quietly. "You think you can outlogic this. But everyone's going to know what you did. I'm going to tell Mom. I'm going to tell Annie Layla. I'm going to tell Daniel's family what kind of person you are." There it is. The threat. Not legal. Social. Reputation. Because in our family, shame is a weapon and Maya is an expert with it. My stomach flips because I can already picture the calls. Mom's sighing dramatically. "Why are you doing this to your sister?" Annie Layla is saying, "Money ruins families." Everyone treating Maya like the wounded saint and me like the ungrateful leech. And the thing is, part of me still wants to prevent that. To pay her just to avoid the fallout. To buy peace. But I'm so tired of buying peace. I take a breath. Okay, I say. Maya blinks. Okay, she repeats, thrown off. You can tell whoever you want, I say. I'm done playing hostage to your version of me. Her lips part. She didn't expect that. She expected tears. Apologies. Scrambling. The old me. You're choosing this, she whispers, furious now. You're choosing to destroy our relationship over money. I let out a slow breath. No, I say. You're choosing to rewrite our relationship as a transaction. I'm choosing not to accept that. For a second, we just stand there, both breathing hard, like we ran a race. Then Maya's face changes again into something calculated. Fine, she says, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand. Payment plan? How much can you do? The whiplash is so fast it makes me dizzy. 1 second she's threatening to ruin me, the next she's negotiating. It's like she's trying different keys to see which one unlocks compliance. I swallow. 200 a month, I say. Maybe more some months. But that's what I can commit to without risking my kid's stability. Maya's jaw tightens. That'll take forever, she spits. It'll take 3 years and 4 months. I say automatically, because I already did the math when I couldn't sleep last week. If I can do extra, I will. She shakes her head like I'm insulting her. Unbelievable, she mutters. You really are going to drag it out. I'm offering you something, I say. You offer me the money without conditions. You literally told me not to worry. But if you need repayment now, this is what I can do. Maya's eyes narrow. And you're going to make me sign something? She asks, voice dripping contempt. Yes, I say, and my hands are trembling, but my voice stays firm. Because you don't get to keep changing the rules. If we're calling a loan, we're treating it like one. We're protecting both of us. No more reinterpretation. Maya stares at me for a long beat. Then she laughs, and it's bitter. Look at you, she says. All grown up, playing lawyer. I don't respond. I just hold her gaze. She looks past me into my apartment, toward the living room where my kid is laughing at something on TV, unaware. Her face flickers with something. Maybe guilt, maybe envy, maybe just frustration that she can't fully detonate this scene without collateral damage. Fine, she says, finally clipped. Draft it. But if you miss a payment, I won't, I say. She holds up her phone again. And you're admitting this is money you owe me, she says, pushing. I'm agreeing to repay you because I love you and because I don't want money to rot between us, I say carefully. I'm not admitting you were honest about it from the beginning. Her eyes flash. Whatever, she snaps. She turns to leave, then stops half in the doorway and says quieter, you know I'm not the bad guy here. I almost laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's so Maya. The need to be the hero even while she's holding a knife. I'm not calling you a bad guy, I say. I'm calling you inconsistent. And I'm calling you out for using me as a pressure valve. Her shoulders stiffen. You always think you're the victim, she murmurs, and she leaves. When the door shuts, my knees go weak like I've been holding myself upright on adrenaline. I stand there for a minute staring at the deadbolt, listening to my own breathing. Then I go wash my hands even though they're not dirty, because I need to do something physical to remind myself I'm real. Later that night, after my kid is asleep, Mom calls. Of course she does. The timing is almost impressive. I heard you had a little disagreement with your sister, Mom says, voice already heavy with judgment. I close my eyes. Mom, I say, tired, it's not a little disagreement. She showed up demanding $8,000. Mom sighs like I'm exhausting. She helped you, she says. You should be grateful. I am grateful, I say, and I can feel my chest tightening again. I thanked her. I've thanked her for years. She told me it wasn't alone. Mom makes this dismissive noise. Of course it was alone, she says, like it's obvious. Maya isn't stupid. The rage that rises in me is so hot it scares me. So you're saying she lied? I snap. Because she literally said it wasn't. Mom pauses, then says, you always take things so literally. There it is. The family slogan. Don't hold people accountable to their words. Don't expect consistency. Just adapt. I'm offering a payment plan, I say, forcing myself to calm down because shouting into the void won't change her. I'm doing what I can. Mom's tone sharpens. You can do more, she says. You just don't want to. You always resented Maya because she had her life together. I laugh once short. That's not true, I say. I don't resent her. I'm scared of her. There's a difference. Mom goes quiet. I continue, voice lower. She didn't ask, I say. She demanded. She threatened to smear me to the whole family. That's not help. That's control. Mom exhales like she's offended. Don't talk about your sister like that, she says. Then tell her not to show up at my house like a debt collector, I say, and my hands are shaking again, but I keep going. I'm not doing this dance anymore, where everyone tiptoes around Maya's feelings, and I'm the bad guy for having boundaries. Mom's voice turns cold. If you tear this family apart over money. Mom, I interrupt, and I'm surprised by how steady I sound. This family has been tearing itself apart my whole life. I'm just the one finally refusing to be the patch. There's silence. Then Mom says, quieter, you've changed. Yes, I say simply. I have. After I hang up, I sit on my couch in the dark, phone face down, and my mind does that annoying thing where it replays every line like an instant replay of a car crash. Part of me feels guilty. Part of me feels furious. Part of me feels relieved, like I finally stopped agreeing to a story that never fit. Because here's the truth I didn't want to admit for years. When Maya gave me that money, it wasn't purely generosity. It was also identity. It made her the rescuer. It made her superior. It gave her a role she could point to whenever she needed proof that she's the good one. And as long as I stayed in the grateful little sister position, she got to feel powerful. Now she's losing her marriage, losing control of her image, and she's reaching for something she can still dominate. The money is a lever. The loan is a story that turns her into the wrong party. It's neat. It's clean. It's easier than admitting she's scared. I'm still going to repay her. Not because she's right about the loan, but because I don't want to carry this forever. I don't want to keep hearing it in every argument for the next decade. I don't want my kid to grow up watching adults weaponize help. But I'm doing it on paper, with terms, with reality, with boundaries. The next morning, I email Maya something simple, a repayment agreement template, a schedule, a note that says, I'll pay $200 on the first of every month. If I can pay extra, I will. If you want to call this a loan, we're documenting it, so there's no confusion. She replies 5 minutes later, unreal. You're making me sign a contract to get my own money back. I stare at the message until my eyes blur. Then I type, I'm making you sign a contract because you changed the story and tried to shame me into a lump sum I don't have. She doesn't respond. 2 days later, she signs it. No apology, no acknowledgement, just her signature like a stamp. And honestly, that's fine. I'm not waiting for her to validate my reality anymore. Maybe in a year she'll pretend she never demanded it aggressively. Maybe she'll tell people she had to fight to get her money back. Maybe she'll still paint me as ungrateful. I can't control that. I'm not even sure I care the way I used to. What I can control is this. I'm not letting anyone, sister, mother, whoever, use love as a trap. I'm not letting help become a leash. If someone gives you something and they tell you it's not a loan, they don't get to show up years later and retroactively charge you interest and shame. So yeah, I'm paying her back. And I'm also quietly paying myself back for every time I swallowed my instincts to keep the peace. Every payment is proof that I can be generous without being controlled. Every boundary is proof that I can love someone and still say no. And if Maya ever offers me help again, I already know what I'll say. No thanks.